Defining a new venture as an AI startup yields a significant advantage in the capital markets. Current venture data shows the label alone commands a funding premium between 15 and 50%. While this hype secures early-stage capital, integrating machine learning into a young company creates a massive vector for operational failure. Implementation often conceals high costs and extensive time requirements that exceed a startup's limited resources, driving up the cash burn rate until the runway disappears. This analysis is based on a qualitative study of 16 seed and pre-Series A technical founders who have navigated these specific friction points. For these entrepreneurs, AI adoption is a dangerous paradox. It acts as a prerequisite for market entry that simultaneously threatens to bankrupt the venture. To understand this failure, we have to look at how we evaluate startups. Since 1985, venture creation has been defined by William Gartner's classic framework, identifying 4 discrete dimensions: the individual, the organization, the process, and the environment. This legacy model treats technology as a byproduct, a simple tool utilized within the operational process. The empirical data shows that AI does not fit into these isolated categories. It pressures a founder's strategic focus, the organization's talent needs, and the venture's financial health. Accurate evaluation of an AI startup requires us to move past this model and re-architect the classical framework of entrepreneurship. Strategists who continue to treat AI as a secondary operational tool are building on obsolete and lethal assumptions. This is the adapted framework for the AI-impacted entrepreneurial process, where the technology is established as the central fifth force. Bidirectional arrows connect the central node to the perimeter. This architecture represents the constant pressure AI exerts on every other dimension of the business. We trace this pressure along each vector, beginning with the downward path into the startup's process. In this vector, the desire to ride market trends often overrides the founder's focus. The pressure to appear AI first to investors distracts the team from solving their core value proposition. Pursuing implementation without strict alignment to business goals leads to an unsustainable drain on limited resources and operational distraction. The organization vector reveals 2 critical resource constraints: data infrastructure and human capital. In a resource-constrained startup environment, the quality of an AI's output is strictly gated by the quantity and quality of the data it ingests. Successful models require continuous retraining loops. Static data yields decaying performance, which immediately erodes customer trust. Early-stage startups face a severe bottleneck here, as they often lack access to the vast proprietary datasets required to reach high levels of accuracy. This contradicts the common industry misconception that a unique algorithm is the primary key to success. The second organizational constraint is the human element. The severe market shortage and exorbitant cost of specialized AI engineering talent. Organizational viability is ultimately dictated by the capacity to sustain these complex data loops and afford elite talent, rather than the AI software itself. The upward vector connects AI to the individual node, focusing on the founders and their workforce. For a startup to survive, the technical founders must maintain a high-level, systemic understanding of their AI architecture to make viable strategic decisions. In this environment, AI functions through human-AI synergy, amplifying human output rather than entirely replacing the workforce. The data shows that AI co-pilots can decrease core development times by up to 50%. While repetitive tasks are automated, the demand for complex human problem-solving and emotional intelligence increases. This creates an immense ethical burden for founders, who must actively monitor their systems for bias, exploitation, discrimination. AI acts as an extreme productivity catalyst, but it demands an ethically vigilant human workforce to prevent systemic failures. The final node, the environment, examines how the rapid democratization of AI alters market dynamics. Classical strategy, championed by researchers like Michael Porter, defined competitive advantage as the use of unique, inimitable resources to outperform rivals over time. But today's AI startups operate in a state of hyper-competition, where rapid technological diffusion erases market advantages as soon as they appear. Because pre-built AI infrastructures and APIs are accessible to everyone, Simply implementing the technology is no longer a sustainable moat. The consequence of this democratization is that the baseline for mere market survival has been raised. Founders who rely on AI as their primary differentiator are quickly overtaken by competitors who replicate that same technology in months. The qualitative data reveals a specific anxiety. Founders now face a dual threat from direct rivals and the rapid commoditization of the technology itself. In this fragmented environment, survival depends less on pure technological development and more on strategic agility. Machine learning has shifted from a unique corporate weapon into a mandatory requirement. It increases the rate at which stagnant startups die. When we examine the re-architected AI-driven venture model in its entirety, we see a full ecosystem of influence. The bidirectional arrows demonstrate that AI adoption is a continuous, multi-directional pressure system. Every integrated AI feature pushes back on the organization's cash flow, talent pool, and data infrastructure. Using this framework allows founders to proactively anticipate organizational friction rather than reacting to fatal bottlenecks. The model confirms that technical architecture and venture economics are locked in a perpetual feedback loop. This brings us to the ultimate objective of a startup, delivering tangible value to the customer. Founders in our study warned against the trap of building AI for the sake of AI. As the quote says, delivering value is more important than the AI itself. While AI can amplify operational velocity, it cannot manufacture product-market fit. The most successful builders view AI strictly as a powerful amplifier of their core mission, not a substitute for strategic focus. If the objective becomes servicing the technology rather than solving the customer's problem, the venture will be crushed by its own burn rate.